Hi there, welcome to Floating in Books. Today I'm going to be chatting to you about my 2023 TBR. So these are some books that I have selected that I hope I want to get to this year. So I've got 10 selections here today, and I've changed up my setup. I'm not sure whether you like this. Do you like this? Because I moved my chair after I took down my Christmas tree. I had my Christmas tree up in a certain corner of my house, and there used to be a chair there, and then I moved the chair, and then I was getting ready to film this video today. I was like, I might be able to actually push my chair into the corner where my bookcases are and film for you that way. I'm not sure. Do we like it? Because then we have the books in the background. So we have my series shelves over here, and then I have my standalone fantasy over there, and some historical fiction down here, and we have some class literature stuff over there, and we've got the music here. So I've got some CDs still. I still listen to CDs. So yeah, I thought we could change it up this way. So let me know what you think of the setup. I thought it would be nice and cozy. So, and this way I can sit down and I can use my same tripod, and I actually quite like the lighting today as well. So let me just get to it and chat to you about these 10 books that I hope to get to this year. And I'm going to be cutting the book selection into 3 topics. I have some series I want to either finish or start this year. Some ongoing series where I don't want to catch up or read some more from. And I have a couple of standalones that I want to read. And one of them, I'm not entirely sure if it's a standalone. But let me just get started with the first standalone that I would like to get to. And I've also tried to sort of get books from different genres as well. So a standalone fiction story I'd like to try and read this year is Pachinko by Jin Lee. I'm terribly sorry for butchering that. But this is quite a long one, I believe. Oh, the book is only over 500 pages, so I think that should be fine. But this is also on Storytel. So my plan with this one is to potentially listen to it as audio, but to also read it on the page and sort of make it like a nice little project for myself. So this is, I believe, set in Korea, and it's this generational overview story. It seems to be one that I might really enjoy. I really, really like these kind of stories, but they always take a bit of brain power for me to get into. So I thought maybe if I make the combo audiobook with this book on the page, that I might actually be more enticed to get through this a little bit more easily. So I definitely want to try it that way. I've never done that. If you've tried that before in the past, let me know how it went for you, because it is making me nervous. Because I find with audiobooks, if I don't like the narrator, it greatly affects how I like the story. And if I, read it on the page, I feel there's a lot more room for my own imagination. And sometimes I feel that really enhances the story, which I think can actually help a story like this. But now, I thought it was going to be more 800 pages, but it's only over 500. So it could also be a project for my summer break, where I, especially during summer break, I like digging into these more, tome-like reads. So I think I may have to read it then. So maybe I'll do the combo based also on what you guys are giving me as what your experiences used to be. But yeah, let me know, help a girl out. But this is definitely one I would like to read. Now, this next book is greatly ambitious of me to include it here. This is a book that's on my shelf for years. I've put this on several yearly TBRs for myself. I'm not sure if I've ever shared it in a video, but a book that I still want to read is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. This is so thick. This is over 1,000 pages, I'm sure. And it's apparently a really slow read. That's what I've been told. I'm not even sure what this is about anymore. I just know that it's good, and I like a bit of historical fiction for sure. And I do have another book by Susanna Clarke, so maybe if I just want to read her writing style first and get into that, I might read Piranesi first, just to get a feel. But yeah, this is one of those books that's been on my shelves for so long that it's almost embarrassing, where I'm just I just need to get round to it. And this could be a nice project. Maybe I should just do a thing where, you know, I see how many chapters there are, and I try to read like 2 or 3 chapters every month, and then like finish it towards the end of the year. Maybe I should just do that with it, because else I don't think I'll ever get round to it, because 1,000 pages is just such a commitment. And especially knowing that this is perhaps a bit of a slow burner. I mean, I don't mind a slow burning book if it's good. I really, really don't. If it like gets there in the end. I've read plenty of books where I feel it was a bit of a slow burn. So maybe I should just do that. I'm not entirely sure. How would you approach this? Because I'm also afraid that if I only read a couple of chapters a month, that I may lose track of what the story is about. Like, I don't trust myself being able to keep track of storylines like that, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure about this one. But yeah, it's definitely a book I would still love to read. And then there's a book that a lot of you actually recommended I should read. And again, to my embarrassment, this has been on my shelves for a while, but I've never read Uprooted by Naomi Novik. And so many people say it's really lovely. I put it on my winter reads recommendations list for good reason, because I think this sounds like a very cozy, like, fantasy-like story. It's sort of like Eastern European inspired. It's about a girl in a village who needs to go with this like monster, but he's actually a dark wizard. It's apparently really enchanting. So I was like, this is probably going to be great. I've put this on my YA shelf though, and that's probably why I haven't read it yet, is because YA fantasy, it's where I started the fantasy journey, and I have just found that it's so formulaic that I don't really get the enjoyment out of it like I do when I do read adult fantasy. So that's why I'm like, maybe I should give it a whirl, maybe I shouldn't, I'm not entirely sure. So I'm sort of still very much on 2 minds about this one for sure. But yeah, so many of you have now left comments saying I should read this, so maybe I should just get around to it. And finally, I do think this is a standalone. Is this a standalone? It finally came. Babel by R.F. Kuang. And this is one of those books, it's a bigger book, it's over 500 pages. But when I look at the typeset and like it's like pretty generously spaced on the page, I don't think this is more like a 350 page book for sure. Typeset and how many words are on a page in terms of pages is much more important. Like, if you look at this, like this is over 1,000 pages, but it's like minute, and there's like so many words on a page. Oh, we do get pictures, lovely. But then you look at this, and it's just like, you know, you can fly through this. So I'd love to read this. I've never read anything by R.F. Kuang, and I want to make a change this year. I'm not sure if this is going to be the first one or one of her other books that I will be showing you in a minute. But this sounds like exactly what I like. It's apparently set in like 19th century Oxford. It has to do with a library, something to do with languages. It's dark academia. It's mysterious. I'm down for it. So many people were hyping this up in 2022, and it sounded exactly like something I might like, which is why I finally was able to pick it up. So the next section is 4 books, but I kind of count it as one, because these are all ongoing series that I'm in the midst of somehow. And some of these have finished. There are no more books coming out, but some of them are. With some of the series, I've caught up with how far the author now is. With some of them, I'm not. But yeah, book series that are still some, like, that I haven't finished yet. And that aren't like a well-rounded, like 3 books or something like that. So the first one is Marie Brennan's The Tropic of Serpents. I only read the first one of this, which is the dragon one. And this sounds like a good follow-up. This has quite a few books in the series, but the first book, because it was told through like diary entries, I wasn't a huge fan. So that's why I'm sort of being held back by reading the rest. I have books number 2 and 3 in the series sitting on a shelf waiting to be read. So maybe I should just get around to it at some point. A series that I think I'm pretty much caught up on, save for this last one, is Oscar de Muriel's The Dance of Serpents, and this is, I believe, a finished series now. This is the last book in the series. This is one of my favorite historical fiction series. It's about 2 detectives in 19th century Edinburgh, and every case has a supernatural beginning and then a scientific explanation towards the ending for the weird things that are going on. One of the inspectors is more like rational, and the other one is more into like the spirits and the supernatural, and they kind of clash and they have a lot of banter, and it's sort of like Sherlock Holmes and John Watson, but not quite. So I have really enjoyed this series. I sort of lost track, and then it took a while between books, and then I think the publisher also changed, and I don't know. So yeah, The Dance of Serpents is the last book in the Frey and McGray series, and I'm looking forward to making sure I finish this series this year. And then I'm pretty sure that this isn't the last book in the series, but it's the last one I have, I believe. This is Genevieve Cogman's The Untold Story, which is like, I don't know which book in the series anymore, but it's the Invisible Library series. That's the name of the first book in the series, is The Invisible Library. And these are like cozy alternate reality fantasy books where the stakes aren't super high, but there's a little bit of politics, but not too much, and we get a pretty cool like set of characters that is just really lovely. This isn't like the most like exciting fantasy like ever. It's just these are all like 300 to 400 pages. They're really quick and easy reads. I tend to read these in the summertime. Like they're great beach reads, I find. I'm not sure what this one is about, because each book tends to be set in like a different place. So there's one that's set in Venice in the 16th century, one in London in the 19th century. We get 19th century Paris in one of them. There's one that's under the sea. There's a lot of different things going on. So, and we have fae, and we have dragons in these books, werewolves. It's a riot of a book to read, and I really enjoy these. They're just really quick and easy reads. But I haven't caught up with this, and I do believe in December we got a new one in this series, but I haven't picked that one up yet. But I haven't also caught up with the books. This is the last one that I have sitting on a shelf, so I need to look into this to see which books I've actually read and which ones are still out that I haven't picked up yet. Another series I need to desperately catch up on, because it's one of the longest running fantasy series in history, is the Jim Butcher Dresden Files. And I've actually read, I'm not sure anymore, like the first 3 or 4. I read Summer Night. This is the next one, Death Masks. And this is a series where I've heard that the first 3 books aren't that great, but I already enjoyed them quite a bit. And that this series only gets better and better as time goes on. So you kind of need to soldier on with the first couple, because they're just like, you know, not that well written, and it's a bit questionable sometimes how characters are described, and you kind of need to get through it, but that things really do pick up from this one onwards, and that's when I stopped reading. So I've read a couple of these, and the idea with this was actually recommended to me by a friend, and he gave me the first book in the series, and then I read it, and I was like, oh, this is great. Again, a summertime read for me. I can read these in about a day usually. They're very fast-paced, and then what I like to do is that I sort of read one, and then I pick up the next book in the series. That's sort of how I've been doing it. But yeah, this is again because I wasn't reading much in 2020 and 2021. I had a major reading slump. I definitely fell by the wayside picking up this book again. So this is something I need to pick back up on. So I think I have like my summer reading, Pachinko, The Untold Story, and this. Like that's a pretty, like that's a week of reading, I think, in the summertime. And then to round up the video, I have 3 book series that I either want to start or want to finish. Something I want to start is this by Fonda Lee. This is Jade City. Comes with 2 other books in the series as well. It's a trilogy, and so many people have been raving about it. I picked this already up at the start of 2022, but I didn't quite get around to it. But now that I'm picking up my reading pace, I'm like, yes, this is something I'm going to get down with. So yeah, Jade City by Fonda Lee. I'm really curious to see what this is about. It's sort of like 2 feuding families, mafia-esque, and Jade is like the commodity that it's all centered around. That's what I've heard. It sounds like right up my street. Like underworld criminals, but with magic. I'm down. And I'm currently in the midst of this guy. This is Brandon Sanderson's The Well of Ascension. By the time you're watching this video, I hope to have finished this so I can chat to you about it in a reading wrap-up. This is the second book in the Mistborn trilogy. I read the first one in December and absolutely loved it. So this is a series I want to finish. And if I like the entire series, you can bet that I'm going to put some more Brandon Sanderson on my wish list. Because so far, these are really, really good. They are slow burners, though. They aren't like super action-packed and like straight to the point fantasy novels. This one as well, I've already read about half of it, and I feel like nothing has happened. It's just people standing around rooms and talking to each other for most of the book. But that was the case with the first book, and that got really good in the last 200 pages. So I'm hoping that this as well, like in about like a page or like 50 or 100 pages or so, I definitely expect this to pick up. And then it's also going to be easier to get through because I remember from the first book, it took me weeks to read the first 400 pages, and then the last 200 pages I read in one sitting. So we'll see how this one goes. But yeah, The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson, the Mistborn trilogy, I definitely hope to finish this year. After I've picked this up, though, I do think I need to pick up, again, a palate cleanser, something that's a bit easier, that isn't fantasy, because I feel that if I read too much fantasy in a row, it all starts to muddle together, and I can't tell it apart. Is that just me? And I told you I would be reading some more R.F. Kuang, because The Poppy War is another series I haven't read yet. So this, I again have heard so many people raving about it. I picked this up, I think at the end of 2022, or at the end of 2020, I should say, thinking I would read this pretty soon after I picked it up, and then of course I hit that reading slump. So it's sort of like playing catch up with like some of the hyped up books of like a few years ago, where I'm like, okay, I haven't read this yet. This is apparently about an assassin, kind of like training kind of thing. I don't remember exactly what it's about. I just know that it's quite grim dark, like it's got quite a lot of violence, and that it comes with a lot of trigger warnings. In books, I never mind those. Like if I have to watch it on a screen, I cannot handle those things. But in a book, my brain has no problem like coping with those things, even if it gets really, really horrible. So yeah, The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang is definitely on my to-read list for 2023. So I hope it was insightful to hear from me what books I hope to get to in 2023. Let me know in a comment down below what you are trying to read this year. I would love to know. I know that by the time you're watching this video, 2023 is already well on its way, but I'm always a little bit behind with my content, but I was like, you know, start of February, we can still do this. We can still do this. We can still do this. So those are all the books that I hope to get to in 2023. Let's see if we actually get to them this year. We'll see. My reading pace is definitely a lot better than it used to be, so I'm very happy. You'll see my wrap up that I will be sharing with you in a few weeks' time, that because I skipped it in January, but that I got around through like one more physical book since, and then a bunch of audiobooks as well. So I'm very happy with that. So thank you so very much for watching today. Leave a comment down below with your reading picks for 2023. I really hope you would like to share that with me. And then I hope to see you in my next video very, very soon. I post on this channel once a week. But if you're into makeup content, then definitely check out my main YouTube channel. I also have a blog where I gather a lot of posts that I do, whether it's makeup reviews and all of the videos I make. And I have a TikTok account where I'm also going to be sharing some bookish content starting March. This month it's still going to be all makeup. I'm sort of like trying to play around with what works on TikTok and what doesn't. So I'm still sort of like figuring things out. I've given myself like 6 months to just play around with it and see what happens. But yeah, that's sort of what I'm trying to do over there. So you can follow me on lots of different platforms. So I hope you'd like to stay tuned for much more content coming your way. And then I hope to see you in my next video. Bye-bye.